Hello, and welcome in to another episode of the FanTC Betting Pod, coming at you with our Week 8 best bets. I will be trying to bounce back from a rough Week 7. Kody will be trying to build off of his momentum from a positive Week 7. So, Kody, how are we feeling today about our best bets?
Not too bad. I had four that I feel really good about, and then a fifth one that I kind of had to tag on and kind of just tailing some professional bettors that I listen to. So I'll make sure to highlight that one, but got four on there that I really like that I think have a really good chance of hitting. How are you feeling about yours this weekend?
Pretty good. I'm actually kind of in the same boat. I had four I definitely locked onto pretty immediately, and then the fifth one was between about three games, and I did a little research and settled on a fifth one due to some numbers that I found. But yeah, I think there was four that I was really solidly in on pretty much immediately when I started making my notes, and then the fifth one was a bit, I kind of had to force it in there, but I felt good about three different games. So we'll ride with it, and I'll see how you feel about it. I'm pretty confident you're not going to have this fifth one in your best bets, but we're actually going to do a little bit of a different format. Usually Kody and I do a shared notes page, so both of us can kind of see the bets that we're locking in. If we overlap, we know we're going to overlap. This time we just made our notes, and so if we overlap on all five, maybe that just says something about our confidence in those games. And then this way, if we have a disagreement too, it kind of comes off a little more authentic. But Kody, why don't you kick us off? Give us your first one.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I go into my first bet, if you're watching on the YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button, ring the bell, all the good stuff on YouTube. If you are someone who listens to the podcast, make sure you are subscribed as well. So make sure you check those things out. Nick, did you have something to say?
Yeah. So before we start, I wanted to start including our records before we go into these. I feel like I kind of mention it throughout sometimes, but I feel like it'd be good to just set a baseline. So
it's a good idea.
I am 14-11 on the year so far, even after a 1-4 week last week. Kody back above me, 15-10-1. He's got the half game lead on me so far this year. But the pod, a very
with an
solid
0-5 week in there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. With a wanted to skim past that, but 29-11-1 on the year, 29-21-1, excuse me, on the year, very solidly in the money there. So pod's off to a good start, even with a couple rough weeks. Mine last week, Kody's 2 weeks before. We're still doing very well, so hopefully we can build on that. Now, Kody, you may begin.
Yep, absolutely. And to build off of that, we are plus 7.5 units on the year. So if you have tailed every single FanTC bet, you should be plus 7.5 units. So through 7 weeks, that's not bad. A lot of professional bettors will tell you they try to hit 60%, which is basically just gaining a unit a week. So not too shabby from the boys. And like I said, that's with a 1-4 from Nick and an 0-5 from myself. So there were some rough sledding in there also. But yeah, let's get into my first one. This one I'm 99% sure we're overlapping, so let's just get it out of the way quickly. Vikings at Packers. Packers plus 1.5. This one seems like one of the easier bets on the board. Nick, I know you were looking at the Action Network this morning. I actually am looking at college stuff now. Do you have the public and bets and money pulled up? Let's go ahead and hear it because I know it's a lot. Yep.
64% of bets on the Packers. I was actually really surprised to see that the public is backing the Packers, but
it's moved quite a bit.
Well, 90% of the money on the Packers, so you're still solidly on the pro side of things, even with the public leaning the Green Bay side. I was surprised. That's a pretty sharp lean from the public, especially after they just saw Minnesota in a primetime game look really good against one of the best teams in the NFL, but I think a lot of people are smelling the same thing you and I are here, Kody. It's actually going to be my lock of the week as well. I have a couple other stats to kind of back this play. After a win since 2018, that would be the Kirk Cousins era, the Vikings are 16-29-2 against the spread. In that same time period, after a loss, Green Bay is 18-11 against the spread. So lots of good treads heading our way on both sides here. Just kind of one of those games where I don't have a ton of football analysis to give you other than, this is just a spot where the Vikings usually let you down on the road against a team that they traditionally struggle against in Green Bay.
Yeah, and a couple other things from my end. One, this is a buy low opportunity on the Packers against a sell high versus the Vikings. So that's an easy bet, especially in a divisional matchup. And then also, I don't have the exact record, but I know it's under 30%. A team that starts out as an underdog, which the Vikings did, and then moved to a favorite, their bets hit at less than 30% since 2019. The record's like 30, 70 something and 1 or something like that. I can't remember it exactly, but it's very, very bad. So when you see these underdogs that switch to favorites, you want to avoid those as much as possible. So that also was a factor in me grabbing Packers plus 1.5.
Yeah, we were both on that one pretty much from the beginning. I kind of assumed we would both overlap on that one. But yeah, that was one of the first bets I locked in myself this week as well. So I'll go ahead and kick off my second, even though we are both one in at this point. Jets at Giants. We are taking the Giants +3. This is, again, another one. I don't have a ton of football analysis, but I'm going to give you a couple stats to back my play here. You want to bet dogs with low totals. So if there is an underdog in a game with a total under 42, those teams are 154, 102, and 5 since 2018. That's a huge sample size, and you are really, really well within the money in that sample size. So that is a trend that we can back with a lot of confidence. Also, we kind of mentioned this on our preview episode on Tuesday, but the Jets defense has been pretty mid-pack when it comes to yards per play metrics. Their pass defense, run defense on a yards per play average it's actually pretty mid-pack this year as opposed to last year. They were just elite all over the board. They've been really making their bones off of turnovers. So they had good games against Jalen Hurts, against Patrick Mahomes, against Josh Allen, but it was because they got a lot of interceptions off of those players. And as impressive as that is, it's not necessarily repeatable, especially when you're playing a guy like Tyrod Taylor who avoids turnovers like the plague. 87 career games, 55 career starts. He has 26 interceptions and 16 lost fumbles, way less than 1 per game, only a 1.6% career interception rate. For reference, Patrick Mahomes' career interception rate, 1.7. So Tyrod Taylor, absolutely elite at avoiding turnovers. If the Jets defense cannot force any of those, I think this Giants offense will be able to get to 14, 17 points. And if they do that, I don't think this Jets offense is going to be able to cover the spread.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this one as well. Definitely one that I was considering for that 5 spot, but I knew you were pretty hot and heavy on this one during our preview show. So didn't want to have too much overlap since there were a couple others that I liked. Also, another stat for that game, though. The Jets currently have 13 interceptions. They had a total of 16 the entire year last year. So when their defense was amazing last year, they had a total of 16 interceptions. They're already at 13. So they're definitely a little bit turnover lucky. I definitely see that going the other way. So I would also take the Giants. And yeah, it's not really a home or away game for either team, but the Giants, getting 3 points and basically you can call it a neutral field game there in New York. I would take that all day. And we also get the return of Zach Wilson, so it's always good when you're betting against Zach Wilson. I don't see the trend of him covering continue.
Yeah, getting points against Zach Wilson is a pretty good feeling, I got to say.
Yep, absolutely. So my second one, I am going to preface this with saying it's a little bit book dependent because I was pretty surprised. I was looking at BetMGM, which is where I locked in this bet. I was able to get it. Commanders +7 is going to be my second best bet. I'm going to take the home dog in a divisional matchup. That's just one of my betting philosophies. It's a lot of professional bettors' philosophies. We also have the Eagles, a little bit banged up. Lane Johnson still didn't look 100% last week. Obviously, Jalen Hurts had the knee issue pop up and go away within basically 24 hours this week. If you're a fantasy player, you probably got those notifications. All that kind of stuff just kind of leads me to believe it could be a close game. The only thing that scares me off of this is you're trusting Sam Howell to have a good game against a good pass rush, which is the scary part. But if there's any team he does play well against, for some reason it is the Eagles in his limited career starts. So I'm going to ride this one. Again, it's just one of those bet, and they're going to hit 60% of the time, so you just got to take them when you have the opportunity. If you get it at +6.5 for your preferred sports book, probably not going to take it. I want the full touchdown if I am going to bet the Commanders.
Yeah, we discussed this one on Tuesday pretty at length. Similar to you feeling I was going to have the Giants in, I was pretty confident you were going to have the Commanders in. I got burned by this exact bet last year. It was exactly 6.5. Washington at home against the Eagles, and the Eagles blew them out. But I see your logic. The betters are, or the sharp betters are really on your side here too. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they were underwater in the percent of bets, but they were way over 50% as far as the money goes. So sharp betters are following you. I can respect just kind of trusting the play, but yeah, it's gross. It's really hard to look at a game like this and say I'm going to bet against Jalen Hurts and this Eagles team that just beat a much better unit in the Dolphins by 14. But again, a lot of sharp bettors on your side. So
another buy low opportunity. That's gonna. I didn't want to keep repeating that, but there's a lot of buy lows in my 5 that I have this week. And for the people, 53% of bets on the Commanders, 78% of the money. So like Nick was alluding to, plenty of pro money coming in on the Commanders at +7.
Yeah, usually anything like 10% and under difference wise is like I call a lean. If it's over that, they are pushing that, and then 25% that's an overwhelming majority for sure of the sharp bettors on the Commanders. New England at Miami, -9.5. We are taking Miami and giving the points to the Patriots. I think I discussed this one on Tuesday as well. If it stayed under 10 points, I was going to be on it. It stayed under 10, just barely, and I am hammering it. Tua is 15-5 against the spread at home in his career, only 9-11 on the road, so we want to back him in these spots, even as a big favorite. In the previous matchup between these two teams, I believe week 2, the Pats had Christian Gonzalez and Matt Judon, their 2 best defensive players. Both of them are presumably out for the year. Christian Gonzalez actually had a pick in that game, and Matt Judon had their only sack, so they will be looking to other players to make plays, and they are of less quality. The Dolphins are also getting back Jalen Ramsey most likely in this game. I haven't seen an update on him. I took a look yesterday, and he was expecting to play, so that is only a further positive. Xavier Howard should also be back for this game as well. He did play in that Week 2 matchup, but didn't play last week against the Eagles, so they will be getting back their 2 corners. New England is going to be missing 2 playmakers on their defense. Dolphins are already 3-0 against the spread as heavy favorites at home this season. We saw them go down 14-0 to the Carolina Panthers as 13.5-point favorites and cover the spread easily. So I think you could even give up an early touchdown to the Pats, and you're still going to feel pretty good about this Dolphins offense coming back and covering that spread for you. We're a little bit of worry about Tyreek earlier in the week, his injury situation, but he's already said he's good to go. He's going to play. I was probably going to back off of it if he wasn't in, but he should be good, and I think the Dolphins will get right at home here and take care of this Patriots team. We talk about this trend a lot too. Pats covered last week. Dolphins didn't. We love that trend always works out in the favor of the team that did not cover the previous week. Not always, but it's like a 60% hit rate. So another trend in our favor there.
Yep, I like it quite a bit. I'm glad you alluded to the Tyreek injury because I was going to say I think if he was fully healthy for the entire week, this would have gotten bet up. A couple of other podcasts I listened to did mention that they were hesitant because of the Tyreek news, but that was coming out Wednesday and Thursday. So as we see here Saturday morning, looks like he's going to play. I would take the 9.5 as well, so solid bet there. My third one of the week, I'm a little out of time order, but I can't remember which one goes first. So we're gonna go with which one I like better. I'm gonna take Ravens at Cardinals under 44.5. Just a pretty easy one here. I am fading the Cardinals completely. I just didn't want to take a large spread. I don't really enjoy betting large spreads too often, so I didn't want to take the Cardinals plus 9.5 or plus 10 because I do think that the Ravens could potentially blow them out, but this could easily be a 30-7 game, a 30-10 game, and we're still easily covering. So the Cardinals are a really good first half team. They completely fall off in the second half, so if we're even looking at a 20-point first half, I still feel really good about this bet at under 44 points, so going to lock that one in. I think that one was my 4th out of 5, so I still feel pretty good about this one. Again, just fading the Cardinals as much as possible. My only concern is if Lamar has another just phenomenal game and gets them anywhere near 40 points, but I don't think they're going to do that against the Cardinals. I don't think this is the game where they have to go all out and score as many points as possible. So I just see it being low scoring in general.
Yeah, I think if you're backing the under here, you're at least leaning towards the Cardinals covering nine and a
Yep.
half because it's going to be hard for, like you said, the Ravens to. It's possible to win a 30-10 game, but the math is pretty specific there. I was considering Cardinals plus nine and a half. I was kind of waiting for. We talked about this on Tuesday. It was 8.5. I said I'm going to wait for it to get bet up on the Ravens because the public's going to be all over them. It did. It shot to 9.5. I was hoping it would get up to 10 or 10.5. It just didn't. Felt a little too icky to go with the Cardinals under 10, so I left it off the best bets, but I do still like the Cardinals there. But this is kind of the nice way of backing the Cardinals without having to worry about, like you said, a 27-10 win if the Cardinals' offensive tap just gets completely turned off. You can guess, you can just say, okay, they're going to be somewhat competitive in this game, but you're just betting basically against the Ravens' offense not scoring 30 plus here, because if they don't, hard to see a 27-21 game developing here between the Cardinals and the Ravens, especially with how good the Ravens defense has looked this year. So I like this play quite a bit as well. My fourth play of the day, and the one I am pretty certain Kody is going to be against me on, is Houston at Carolina. We are taking the Panthers plus 3.5 at home. Frank Reich in his career in Indianapolis, 4-0 against the spread off of a bye. Houston's defense, it's been good when it comes to results the last 4 weeks. Only 14.25 points per game given up, but they have given up 400-plus yards of offense in 3 of those 4 games. I think this defense has been getting a little lucky. I think there is spots to take advantage of it here. And this is another one where the Houston team's going to be a bit of a public darling. They've been really good against the spread so far this year. C.J. Stroud has looked great, but this is a tough spot on the road against a team that's going to be really hungry. I think the Panthers are 0-5-1 against the spread so far this year. Those trends usually come back to earth. Vegas knows what they're doing. There's a reason this line has not shot up past 3.5. I think Vegas kind of wants people to take Houston because this looks like a line that should be a little bit farther in their favor if you're just looking at these two teams so far this year. But Carolina's going to be really motivated coming off a bye. They have no reason to lose games here. They do not have their first-round pick next year. So Frank Reich and crew are going to empty the bag here, in my opinion, to show they made the right pick with Bryce Young over C.J. Stroud. I expect them to keep this close and win by at least 3. I was really happy this got up to 3 in the hook. When it was at plus 3, it was between this and a couple other games, but once I got the hook on it, it was my decision was made, and we're going to back the Panthers here. The pros are actually still on the Houston Texans. It's more of a lean, not a full-fledged, pros are all over the Houston Texans, but I was surprised to see that. Either way, sometimes you got to call your shot. I'm taking the Panthers plus 3.5 here.
Yeah, I like it. During our preview show, I was on potentially wanting to be on Panthers plus 3.5, but I'll just go ahead and take the other side. One of my fifth bet of the week, the one I was not the most eager to do, but I got talked into from a professional bettor on a podcast. Texans minus 3.5. Like you said, pros are still coming in on the Texans. For me, and this is kind of just going back to my 0-5 week. My 0-5 week was made up of worse quarterbacks and worse coaches getting points, and I just thought that they were going to cover those spreads, and they did not. Sorry, if you're on the YouTube there, you got to see a cat just flash across the screen. So, yeah, I like C.J. Stroud more than I like Bryce Young. And honestly, through this part of the year, I like DeMeco Ryans a lot more than I've liked Frank Reich. The whole Carolina Panthers situation is just going in a weird direction right now. But like you said, they are coming off of a bye. I do think Frank Reich is a good head coach, so I understand where you're coming from. I cannot bet money on Bryce Young yet. I need him to show me something. This could definitely be the weekend that he makes, kind of his first real appearance in the NFL and be able to win a game or cover a game, keep one close. But I'm going to take Texans minus 3.5. Like you said, if it was minus 3, I'd even feel a little bit better about it, but I'll even eat the hook. So again, I got talked into this one by a professional bettor, so I don't have a lot of stats or anything backing it up. This is my fifth bet of the week. So funny that we actually happen to be on the opposite side of that.
Fair enough. Here we go, head-to-head. The last time we did this, Kody came out on top in the Dolphins-Bills game earlier this year, but I have gotten the better of him in a couple bets I didn't include in my best bets. I I think the Tampa-Detroit game, I was on the other side of. We had a beer bet that we made about that one, but we'll see how it turns out. I was kind of expecting the Houston call to come in on the other side. Just by the way that we talked about it on Tuesday, I kind of felt that you were on the Houston side of things, but we'll see how it plays out. I think this is a really interesting game, kind of an underrated interesting game. Number 1, number 2 pick against each other. It'll be fun to watch. Over under 44, pretty healthy 44.
Yep.
This week is, man, fantasy has been just shit the past couple weeks. It's probably going to be again. I don't know if you have this all up in front of you, but take a guess. What is the highest over under of the week? There's no bias. Every single team is playing.
I don't know if I saw any in the 50s, so I think 47.
47 is the highest total of the week. There are a ton of games between like 43 and 46, so there's not going to be a whole lot of stinkers, but just incredible that there is no game above 47 with every single team playing on the slate.
Yep,
absolutely. Last best bet of the day is going to be on the Monday Night Football game, Vegas at Detroit. We are taking the Lions and giving 8.5 points to those Raiders. Lions have played 4 teams who currently have losing records. They've won each game, and they have won by 14, 18, and 14. They take care of business, especially when they're playing bad teams, and especially at home. Since 2021, that would be when Dan Campbell was hired as the Detroit coach, Detroit is the best in the NFL against the spread at home, 15-5. So we have a lot of trends in our favor here. Feel like this Vegas team is kind of on the brink of a collapse. There's been a lot of strife coming out with McDaniels and his team. Devontae Adams rumors. It's not a positive vibe right now for the Raiders. 93% of public bets on Detroit. Usually that means you want to fade them, but 95% of the money also on the Lions. So the pros and the Joes following these Detroit Lions at home in this spot because this is just a pretty obvious play in my opinion. I was considering the over here. 46 seems like the Raiders should be able to get to at least 20 points and probably push this game over, but at the end of the day, I just could not trust this Raiders offense. I went back and looked at their game logs. They've scored 20 points one time this year, 21 against the New England Patriots, and that was even with the help of a last-second safety, famously screwing one of Kody's plays earlier this year. So, an offense that's not gotten to 20 on their own all year, I could not reasonably back the over here. I might play it a little bit on my own, but we'll take Detroit minus 8.5. I feel pretty good about that one.
All right. Yes, I do like that one as well. And just to reiterate what we talked about earlier this week, 93% of the bets, 95% of the money on the Lions. So both the public and the pros hate the Raiders from a betting sense. So just because it makes zero sense for us to leave these two games out, and I thought you would have one of these two in, I'm taking my Texans bet off the board. Forget Texans minus 3.5. I'm replacing that with Titans plus 3. Give me Mike Vrabel at home. He does have a backup quarterback, but Mike Vrabel at home as an underdog has a phenomenal record. So we are going to scratch the Houston Texans off of my betting card, and we're going to add the Tennessee Titans plus 3 points. It did move up from 2.5 to 3, so we had some pro money come in on the Falcons, but if I'm getting that field goal, I am going to take it with the Titans. So no head-to-head matchup. I thought that one would be in there. Also a little bit surprised Jags-Steelers didn't make either of our cards, but that got bet down to plus 1.5 for the Steelers. And if you look at Mike Tomlin, his stats as an underdog change considerably right at the 3-point mark. So if it's more than 3 points and he's an underdog, it's phenomenal. If it's under 3 points and he's an underdog, it's a lot closer to the league average than people give him credit for. So that's the reason why that one didn't make it. But I'm taking Mike Vrabel as an underdog at home. I can't leave that one off. That would just be I would be kicking myself once he covered, especially if you won the Carolina bet. If that one was not on either of our betting cards. So switching it up.
Super
Titans
strong contender for me. Yeah, the Titans game is a super strong contender for me, but it when you say it got bet from 2.5 to 3, that happened like 20 minutes ago. Like legitimately 20 minutes ago. When I was making my notes earlier, it was Titans plus 2.5. So that was the big number there. I did not want to take it at 2.5 because you lose on a walk-off field goal. But Now that it's at 3, yeah, it might have made it in above Carolina if that had been the case while I was doing my notes, but that shift happened quite literally within the last 30 minutes. So, it's like the exact same. I could give all the stats I gave for the Jets Giants game for the
For sure.
Titans Falcons game. It's like same thing. Really, really low total. You're getting 3 full points at home. That's just a great spot. You got it. You have to take it. I mean, I will certainly be taking it on my own. So I'm glad one of us included that in our 5. Kody, do you want to give your last one?
Absolutely, and now we can go 10-0, so that's always a nice. When that happens 1 week, that's going to be awesome. My last one, and this one I'm actually very surprised on. I thought this one was going to be a very big, a lot of money coming in on the under, but Bears at Chargers under 46.5.
I was waiting.
This is my lock of the week. I know I took the under in the Bears game last week as my lock. I'm just going to bet against Tyson Bagent, coming off of a win, which is huge, but I don't think that he is. He's not going to be the next good Bears quarterback. I could see him falling down to earth quite drastically this game. Like Nick went over, his air yards per attempt was under 2 yards last week. So he's not going to be a good NFL quarterback. I feel like a lot of people are into it just because of what he did against the Raiders. And then from the Chargers' perspective, they don't score a lot of points. They're right around 20 points per game average, so They do not get up into the 30, 35 very often. If they do, this would be a defense to do it against, but the Bears defense has been playing considerably better since week 2. Week 3 on, they are more middle to back, not just dead last like they had been. So I do like the Bears a little bit more from a defensive perspective. And like I said, Chargers just don't blow teams out. They muck up these games. They keep them close. Bears plus 8.5 would be in consideration, but I cannot trust my money on Tyson Bagent yet. So we're going to hammer the under 46.5 lock of the week.
Surprised this didn't get bet down a little bit, 46.5. Both
Me too.
Seemed really high to us when we were doing the preview on Tuesday. I was expecting it to be closer to 45 or maybe even below that by the time we rolled around to our best bets, but it's not. I was waiting for that one. I kind of figured you'd have it in there because you were really enthusiastic about it on Tuesday, so I'm glad we got it in there. Kody, do you have any college plays for us today, or do you want me to go ahead with the teaser?
Go ahead with your teaser real quick because I'm going to pull up my notes on that one. It's on a different page. You got it.
All right. So I actually, it's kind of funny. In my notes, I had Titans plus 8.5/9 because I saw that it had moved when I went down to the teaser section of my notes, which is the end of what I'm doing here. But we get to do the full 9 now because the book that I use, it moved up to 3 for the Titans. So just a quick reminder for teasers. You get 6 points on the line. You have to pick at least 3 teams. The odds are knocked down from what a normal 3-team parlay would be on the line, but you also get 6 points for each game. So you get this. So this would pay out 1.5 to 1. We're taking Tennessee plus 9. We're taking Cowboys minus 0.5. Pros are all over the Cowboys. I just could not get there with 6.5 points.
Yep.
Seemed like a lot against the Rams, but the public, the percent of, I think it was the biggest spread that I saw this week was the pros favoring the Cowboys minus 6.5. So we'll just take them to win the game here. And then Lions minus 2.5 at home. Even if they struggle with this Raiders team off the jump, I just cannot see any way that they don't win this game by at least 3 points. So I'm pretty comfortable here. Titans plus 9. Cowboys minus 0.5 and Lions minus 2.5. That will pay you out 1.5 to 1.
Yep, absolutely. I love all of those. One thing, so this is just, again, from another betting podcast. They said when you're doing teasers, you never want to bet across the 0 because what that does is basically it takes basically a half point of value away from you that you're not getting because a game can't end on 0. So I believe one of yours did last week, but it was the Eagles, so it didn't matter anyway. It was the 49ers that ended up screwing you. But I was going to point that out if you bet across the 0, and you did not. So I like that one quite a bit. I like all 3 of those. Lions.
Yeah, you want to look for those 2.5s, those 6.5s in, like if you're minus 6.5, you get to bet down to just that 0.5. That's a key number because then you just have to win the game. And those 8.5, like the Lions, 8.5, perfect number to tease because you get that down to 2.5. You just have to win by the field goal. Tennessee, the plus 9 isn't necessarily a key number, but you're getting 9 points in a game that has a 35 over under. I don't see a lot of ways you lose that bet without the Falcons scoring a defensive touchdown, towards the end of the game or something.
You are moving it through a couple key numbers, though, because 6,
You are,
7,
yeah.
and 8 are all key numbers when you're looking at teasers. So to get that all the way up
Right.
to 9 is pretty sweet. So I like that one a lot. So Titans +9, Cowboys -5, Lions -2.5. All right, let's go with that. My college football lock of the week. Hopefully you are listening to this on Saturday afternoon when it comes out, or Saturday morning if you are one of the first listeners. I am going to go against some professional money here, but I just have a lot of faith in this team. I'm taking Oregon State -3 on the road at Arizona. This is definitely a heavy pros matchup. They have 71% of the money coming in on Arizona at home. Just in my limited Pac-12 viewing, Oregon State has been one of those teams I've watched a couple of times. I just think they are really good. They obviously have DJ Ungale from the old Clemson quarterback that didn't pan out in Clemson. So they do have some high-level talent there. And I just think they're a really good team. I think they're really coached. They play a lot of smart football. It opened at 5, got bet down all the way to 3. It could potentially get bet down to 2.5, which I would love even more. But Oregon State -3 tonight. That is a 9:30 p.m. kickoff Central Time. So, I'll make sure to get the graphic out today. I will get the podcast posted today, so you have plenty of time to listen and get that one locked in. Nick, anything else? Any last comments? Any last bets that you like for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm looking through the college slate right now. I just don't have enough confidence to really actually put anything out there that you should be putting your money on. I think the only thing that sticks out to me is Kentucky +3.5 at home against Tennessee. Seems like those teams are just going to play a close game with each other. But other than that, just follow Kody. He is more on the college scene than I am from a betting perspective, to be honest. But I'm going to recap my picks real quick, and then Kody, if you want to recap yours for the people, just in case somebody skipped to the end to hear those. So Kody and I are both following Green Bay at home +1.5 against the Vikings. That is my lock of the week. New York Giants at the Jets, I guess it's Jets at Giants technically, but they're both playing in the same home stadium. Giants +3 in that game. We are riding with the G-Men against the Jets. New England at Miami. We are laying the 9.5 points with the Dolphins at home there. Vegas at Detroit -8.5 on Monday night. We are again laying that 8.5 for the Lions. We are expecting a couple of blowouts in those two games. And then Houston at Carolina. We are taking Carolina +3.5 at home off the bye, hoping that ATS trend for Frank Reich can continue. And then my teaser of the week, Tennessee +9, Cowboys -0.5, Lions -2.5. That one plays out 1.5 to 1.
Absolutely. Love it all. My 5 this week, again, following Green Bay +1.5. Got Commanders +7. Ravens at Cardinals under 44.5. The quick pivot taking Titans +3 at home against the Falcons. And then Bears at Chargers under 46.5. That is my lock of the week. And then the Oregon State Beavers are going to put it on the Arizona Wildcats tonight. They are only favored by 3, so make sure to go lock that in before it is too late. Nick, enjoy your Saturday. Enjoy your college or your football slate. I will talk to you early next week, and let's cash some bets. Peace out, everybody.
See ya.